team members of Team Lotus Box here getting ready to do battle. King, Rosum, and John on your left. Donegan, McDuffie, Zyed there on your right. We'll be underway here in just a moment. These players will be given the green light, the thumbs up. It should be a fun one here between McDuffie and Rosum and his human stack. Rosum really likes this human strategy. Again, I had dinner with him last night. He talked about some of the changes he made, up to including Kessig Malcontents, which won him a match earlier that we watched on camera. And we're underway, folks. It's a Cavern of Souls, naming human noble hierarch. And let's do this thing in round number 4. Teamer Battle Rage, Corey McDuffie's first draw. It's kind of funny. We've known Corey for a really long time. He was the young kid. He is not the young kid in this group.
Yeah, I don't recall if it was Columbus or somewhere else recently where you refer to him when you're going over players to watch as a youngster, and I almost said, maybe 10 years ago.
I think he's 25 now, I think.
We all just keep getting older.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
We're in the depressing stage of SCG Live right now on the SCG Tour.
Something wrong with it.
Here's a thought seize. Gonna lay it out here. Will Rosum, 2 Phantasmal Image, 2 Thalia's Lieutenant, and a Noble Hierarch. 2 pair with a Hierarch kicker.
Mm-hmm. As we flash back to 2004 briefly on the broadcast.
That's right. Choose wisely, Corey.
What's that line from BoJack? It was 2004, and everyone was playing poker all of a sudden for some reason.
Hey, you're the BoJack guy here in the booth, not me. One day I'll get around to watching it.
Yeah. Talk about depressing times in the booth.
The little I've seen of BoJack, it was BoJack Horseman? Yeah.
A masterpiece.
Yeah, the little I've seen of it is pretty good. Corey going to poke a hole in Thalia's Lieutenant. Goodbye. Let's go back over to Jonathan Rosum, who's got a 1-lander. Something this deck does keep a lot, truth be told. I love that he slow rolls himself with his draw step a lot. Love that, because you can't do that on Magic Online.
No.
If there were a slow roll, your draw step button on Magic Online, I would click it a lot. There's a Vial, there's Noble Hierarch, kick it over. Obviously, Vial was his draw for the turn. Corey knows that, so do we.
The concern I have about this line is if McDuffie has a follow-up discard spell, Rossum's hand is kind of nothing.
Two images?
2 images.
Yeah.
But I think also just casting the Thalia's Lieutenant might be too bad. And this way he's at least drawing very heavy. Even though his hand's not a whole lot right now, any of his powerful humans really gets him going here.
He's got a lot of goodies he can draw. An example, something like a Mantis trying to be pretty good right now. Vial up to 1. Rosum, 1 card at a time he'll draw. Picked up a copy of Reflector Mage.
Not so great here.
It'll be good later, most likely. I got a little feeling about that as Rosum going to shuffle a couple of cards here in his hand. Does he want to image anything is the question. Looks like he'd rather just serve with a Noble Hierarch. Come on, give me an Exalted Attack. Give me an Exalted Attack.
He's definitely getting
there. There we go. Attacking creature gets Exalted. Ding. I am Dark Confidant reveals land away from winning bingo. Whew.
I don't like your odds on filling that one.
I don't like it actually very much at all.
Definitely south of 50%.
Yeah, I don't like it very much at all. Dark Confidant isn't even good anymore. Here's Death Shadow.
It's a complicated question.
There's another Death Shadow.
So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. I don't know if that card's that good anymore. This is going to be a really good turn for Reflector Mage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Gonna bounce that.
And then you just copy it.
Gotta wait a little bit.
That's the other thing.
McDuffie is going to play a Serum Visions. He will draw a card. Yeah, I like the timing, not just bouncing both of them, because then he bounces Death Shadow again next turn.
Oh, yeah.
And it puts it on a longer delay. Is that good?
You can also just hold up the Vial, and it shuts McDuffie off of following up with some sort of Delve play.
I don't know if Reflector Mage was the best draw for Rosum, but it was a darn good one. That's for sure.
Mantis Rider would have been great, too. I think, Thalia's Lieutenant, any of his 3s. But Reflector Mage definitely plays in this spot.
McDuffie going to do a little scrying here with the Serum Visions. Corey, known as a very methodical player, he's certainly got a lot to think about right now because he's already at 9. Reflector Mage can get double exalted, which is obviously problematic, and there's just a lot to think about here.
with the Temur Battle Rage in hand, I would imagine McDuffie's game plan ideally is just hold the fort for as long as possible, take some hits, and then kill in one shot. Temur Battle Rage is pretty solid in this matchup because the humans deck can deploy a lot of chump blockers. And now we'll see McDuffie here. He tries to play the Death Shadow. Can't do that because of the Reflector Mage trigger. And now we get to find out what are the consequences of McDuffie not knowing that.
Did it affect his turn?
Right.
Yeah. Death Shadow going to deal a little bit of damage here. 4-4 right now. There's a Polluted Delta. Didn't want to play that one pre-combat. Make Death Shadow a little bit larger. That's a conscious decision there for McDuffie, I'm sure. Now he'll sacrifice that Polluted Delta. Ooh, trigger on. Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Good timing.
Some really sharp sequencing here from Rosum. And it's just, you know, how much of McDuffie's turn and staring at that Serum Vision and deciding to attack was predicated on thinking, one, that he could play the Death Shadow, and two, that his spells were going to cost normal price.
Perhaps he thought he could play a 3-mana spell this turn.
Yeah.
Now he no longer can. Things of that nature. Let's see what this is. Delve Threat. Yeah, very large Delve Threat. And these are very easy here for Rosum to bounce. Rosum going to quickly untap. Doesn't have to worry about a free counter spell at all. He'll draw a card. Picked up a Vial. Doesn't matter much. He will use the Noble Hierarch and the Cavern Souls.
And more tight sequencing here. You know, he can go ahead and cast this and then threaten to hold up the other Reflector Mage at instant speed. This gives him cover against something like Temur Battle Rage killing him from out of nowhere.
It's true. I could also see him just bouncing it now.
And just locking him out?
Yeah, just locks him out of plays. I'm a little surprised that this is the only attacker.
Well, it's Exalted. He gets the same. It's the same.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's
You're right. Yeah, it's the exact same. You're right. You're right. Death Shadow going to get bounced via Reflector Mage. Talking to Rosum last night at dinner, he said Phantasmal Image is the best card in this deck.
Yep.
And I truthfully agree at this point. This update to Collins Mullen original deck, where Collins did not have this, and keep in mind Collins destroyed that open in Cincinnati without this card. This update is huge.
You have so many cards in the deck where if the first one's good, the second one's really good. That's rarely the case. A lot of times, you know, the second copy of things are diminishing returns, but if your Mana Strider is good, it's because your opponent can't block fires. The second one's really good. If the first Reflector Mage is good, like they're trying to put creatures on the battlefield, the second one's really good. And I you know, Thalia's Lieutenant, great to copy, obviously for a variety of reasons. And with some of these cards, like Thalia's Lieutenant and Reflector Mage, you don't really care if they die. A lot of what you're getting is off of the summon trigger. And that mitigates some of the drawback of Phantasmal Images, which is sometimes they just die without exchanging for a card.
Phantasmal Image, and it doesn't even get into the conversation of I can copy your stuff too.
Yeah, and McDuffie there, a little bit frustrated. I don't know, again, how much did he think that Death Shadow mattered, but McDuffie is a perfectionist.
Yep.
And even if it didn't matter, the fact that he was unaware of that trigger looming in the air, that's going to really upset him.
Well, that's going to do it for game number one. Jonathan Rosum going to win game number one here over Corey McDuffie. Humans very quickly up a game over Grixis Death Shadow. These players going to get ready to sideboard it up. But before we watch them do that and talk about it, let's take a little listen from our sponsors.
Go.
Welcome back, StarCityGames.com. Dallas-Fort Worth Open Weekend, part of Season 1 of the 2018 SCG Tour. Jonathan Rosum, McDuffie, that's the players we're about to watch here in game number 2. And we're going to start here with Grixis Death Shadow and that sideboard of 3 Lingering Souls, 2 Anger of the Gods, 2 Stern Willingness Rejection, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 of Fun ofs, Collective Brutality, Disdainful Stroke, God of the Shrine, Kolagon's Command, Liliana, the Last Hope, Stubborn Denial. Peace, Ellie, talk to me.
Love the Liliana, love the Kolagon's Command. Those ways of killing multiple threats, generating card advantage, but the stars of the show here are the 2 copy of Anger of the Gods. Here in large part for this matchup, and by far McDuffie's best sideboard card.
For Rosum, he's got 3 Sin Collectors, 2 Graph Digger's Cage, 2 Dismember, and a whole bunch more creatures. And 2 is a Static Caster, 2 Mirren Crusader, 2 Vithian Renegades, another copy of Kessig Malcontents was a winner for him earlier in the day, and a Zathard Necromancer.
Love the Zathard Necromancer. I think the 2 copies of Dismember are fine here. Not necessarily great, but they're good answers to Del threats. The Sin Collectors, and I think the Malcontents. You know, McDuffie doesn't kill everything, and he does a lot of damage to himself, so surprise Malcontents through an Aether Vial can kill McDuffie even from some favorable positions for Death Shadow.
Those are the options there for both players. We're going to take a look at their opening hands. We're getting ready here for game number 2. You see the scoreboard update. King, Rosum, and John, they're getting out their brooms, folks. They are very quickly up games here over Donegan, McDuffie, and Zyed. As we are underway here in game number 2, McDuffie going to sacrifice the Polluted Delta, going to fall down to at least 19, probably 17. There's a Watery Grave. We'll see how Corey wants to start things off. And it'll be an Inquisition of Kozilek. Get an idea of exactly what Jonathan Rosum is working with. A couple of lands here for Rosum. Actually, more than normal, as he has a Plains, a Seacrum Coast, a Horizon Canopy, and it looks like a Cavern of Souls, along with a Sin Collector, a Phantasmal Image, and Crispicula, Meddling Mage.
To keep up with the poker analogies,
yes.
At the bottom of his range.
Yes, very nice.
If that Horizon Canopy is any other land in the deck, this is probably a mulligan. And we're not talking about his stars in the matchup by any means, but I suppose with the Horizon Canopy in hand, this is an acceptable 7-card hand.
One thing I think you'll find too, in this format especially, is when you're playing against a deck that has discard spells, you don't really want a mulligan.
Exactly. And it might not be the worst. It's just I have enough mana to function, some stuff to do, and I'm playing very well off the top of my deck because I can cast anything that I draw.
Seacrum Coast, pass that turn back. Will Rosum over to McDuffie. Second turn of the game, Thoughtseize looks like the draw there for Corey. And it looks like this might be where he starts. Actually, let's start with the Serum Vision. So draw a card, scry not once, but twice. We'll see where these cards are headed here in just a moment. The scrying is done. Down to 15. Are we going to make it a cool 13, Corey? Let's make it a cool 13 via Thoughtseize. Let's see what the draw was for the turn. Free Buddha. See if McDuffie wants to take the Pirate or if he wants to go with Meddling Mage. He'll take the Meddling Mage instead.
It's an interesting selection there from McDuffie because the Phantasmal Image plays a lot better with the Freebooter than it does with the Meddling Mage. So McDuffie just is probably loaded up with a lot of spot removal.
Yeah, a couple copies of Fatal Push makes a lot of sense. Can't take them both. So the Freebooter will take a copy of Fatal Push, leaving McDuffie with a Fatal Push, a Gurmag Angler, and a Death Shadow.
And that's why you take the Meddling Mage, because if Rosum just Meddling Mage's Fatal Push in the dark, your hand's shut off. This way he can just get rid of the Freebooter and get his Fatal Push back.
Looks like Thought Scour was the draw here for McDuffie. So there is a Thought Scour. Target himself. Dismember Inquisition will go to the graveyard, draw a new card, Anger of the Gods. That's a good magic card. Doesn't look like a third land yet for Corey, but he can play Angler if he'd like.
I would imagine that he's going to, well, I guess now that he's drawn Anger, maybe there's an argument for doing it. I just assumed that he was planning on Fatal Pushing the Freebooter this turn because of the Phantasmal Image in Rosum's hand.
Now, I do want to take a look at Fatal Push because I'm curious about how it reads. I'm trying to figure out if you can use it to target a creature that is... Okay, so he could if Phantasmal Image copies Angler, he can still Fatal Push it.
Yes.
Yeah. So it says destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less. Phantasmal Image obviously is an illusion, has the illusion trigger. So he could play Angler here, and then McDuffie will copy it, and you just say, okay, I'll push it, it's dead. because they don't actually have to fulfill the requirements, and then keep going about his business.
Yep.
It's a little trick. Give Corey some credit here. I think he knows it.
If you've played a lot of Magic Online, this is definitely a thing that's come up.
You're trying to fatal push something and it doesn't kill it?
I'm just saying that this interaction. If
Sure.
you've logged a ton of games, then you've seen this come up.
Back to Rosum we will go, however. McDuffie not going to make a move here. There's a Plains. Good draw. Good draw, Mantis Rider. In for 4. Let's make it 3. Fatal push going to go back over to Corey McD. Back over to Corey we'll go now. Misses land drop last turn. Picked up a Thoughtseize this turn. Might have an interest in casting that Thoughtseize to take care of that Phantasmal Image.
We get the Death Shadow going, and then he's drawing very large on that road, going down that path. I think it's better to get the pressure, though. The problem with the Thoughtseize is he's falling to 5 there. He's playing 1 follow-up threat, and he isn't guaranteed to be able to enter the Mantis Rider. So I think you just got to put stuff on the table.
Well, there's an Angler, there's Death Shadow, pass that turn back over to Rosum. Rosum will draw a card. Did not get a great look. You know he's got lands. We know he's got the image. And he's going to be copying something very quickly here. Yep, he's going to copy Mantis Rider, and he says, I'm going to put you down to 4, which means Death Shadow is not a happy camper.
But Rosum can, on the table, just take the full hit right now.
Serum Vision's the draw. Now, I'm going to be very interested to see if Corey McDuffie knows exactly this trick with Fatal Push. Because right now, it doesn't look like he can Fatal Push anything. But he can Fatal Push that Phantasmal Image Mantis Rider. Yes, he can.
And then Rosum's got to come up with 1 point on the way back. A lot of ways to do it, but if not, then he's in a lot of trouble.
That's the Serum Visions. Couple of lands there for Corey. Picked up a copy of Watery Grave, I believe. Well, those cards are going to go to the bottom. You got to remember too, this is a sizable attack. He can close the game out in 2 attacks.
Oh yeah. No, and it's I think maybe both are. I think there's a chump block at least that Rosum gets on the way back, the way things are set up. But Rosum needs something really good in his draw step here, or he's in trouble.
Fetch land's a nice draw. Nice-ish. Doesn't change much. Yeah, so healthy amount of damage here. You don't have to do this now if you don't want to. Yeah, just pass the turn back. Rossum's going to sacrifice that and draw a card. Maybe been a freebooter, not a great look at it. Now Rosum will draw again. Picked up a copy of Meddling Mage, so he's got 2 spells to play.
And this play from McDuffie is really sharp, because if you Fatal Push right now or on your own turn, then Rosum is drawing to Noble Hierarch. The way things currently stand, Noble Hierarch not a draw, because if he attacks with only the 1 Exalted Threat, he can sacrifice the Verdant Catacombs and Fatal Push down the Mantis Rider. And if he attacks with both, you get rid of the Phantasmal Image, and he's only attacking for 3, knocking you down to 1. So that play looks small, but it is a way for McDuffie to cut off Noble Hierarch as a draw.
All right, Corey knows. Corey knows. Rosum knows too. Push the Phantasmal Image creature. Casting cost does not matter. Follow up here for Jonathan. It's a Kitesail freebooter. You are about to lose your Anger of the Gods, my friend. Not that that matters a ton. Thoughtseize and Anger. Yep, definitely going to take the Anger. Tough part here for Corey. He's hoping he doesn't have a follow-up threat, but he absolutely does. It's Meddling Mage. It's 2 chump blockers.
I imagine we're just cutting off Fatal Push here.
Yep. So
find out in a moment.
If you're Corey, you need to draw Team or Battle Rage. Here are the attacks. Rossum's got no choice but to block. Here come the Knuckleheads. There's your 1 block. I guess you can go down to 1. And Battle Rage was actually named with Meddling Mage, so it doesn't even matter. Jonathan Rosum going to win this match here over Corey McDuffie. 2 games to 0. Human strikes once again, taking care of Grixis Death Shadow. And I'm telling you, man, Rosum, talking to him last night over dinner, he just kept telling me you should play humans at the Pro Tour. You should just play humans. It's very, very good. I play it all day on Magic Online. I figured out like all the matchups, and he continues to impress. Another win for him. I
don't think McDuffie is thrilled with his play that round, and I don't think he quite has enough in his 75 to make this matchup good. Part of the issue here is also Anger of the Gods.